Trim venison of any connective tissue, the silverish-bluish layer over some muscles. Then, cut venison for grinding into chunks that will fit through the throat of your grinder. Spread the cut-up pieces of venison on baking sheets, exposing as much of the surface area of the meat as possible. Cover it with a thin layer of clear plastic wrap. Place the baking sheets into the freezer, spreading the pans out as much as possible in the freezer. Leave the pans in the freezer until a crust is formed on the outside of the pieces of meat. The ideal temperature range for the crusted meat is around 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Only remove as much meat as you can grind in a short amount of time. Do not pull all the pans out, or they will start thawing before all the product makes it through the grinder. This will allow for the meat to go through the grinder easier, and you will obtain a better grind. Properly assemble your grinder. Make sure the knife cutting edge goes against the grinder plate. You have the auger, the blade, the plate, and then the collar. Newer models of grinders are very difficult to put together incorrectly because usually on the grinder itself, the housing of the grinder, there is a tab that the plate sits on, and the plate will go on last. So it can't be assembled differently. Old solid grinders do not have that, so it's possible on an older grinder to put the plate on before you put the blade on. If you don't assemble the grinder properly, it will just keep backing up and the product will not move through the grinder. Tare the weight of the bowl on a kitchen scale. Loosely fill the throat of your grinder with cubes of venison before turning the grinder on. Slowly feed the venison through the grinder with a coarse or larger sized grinder plate. Some home grinders may not have different sized grinder plates, and that's okay. Note, do not stick your hand down the throat of the grinder. Use the plastic stomper that came with your grinder. Return the ground venison to the freezer to keep it cold. It may be a good idea to clean your grinder auger, knife, and plate at this point. Add beef suet, or fat, or pork fat to your ground venison to provide additional flavor, and fat to the lean venison. Cut or break the suet into small pieces. Tare another bowl on the kitchen scale that will be used to weigh the suet or fat. We added 10% of suet or fat to the venison, but you can add more or less based on your personal preference. Add 9 pounds of venison to 1 pound of suet for a 10% inclusion rate of fat. In a large pot or bowl, use your hands to thoroughly mix the ground venison lean with the suet or fat. Using a smaller sized grinder plate, feed the coarse ground pre-mixed venison and suet through the grinder a second time. Your finished ground venison is ready for cooking, mixing in additional spices or seasoning, or packaging and storing in the freezer.